Okay, here we go. It is the Travis Neville podcast. I think we're at episode 30. It's pretty amazing. I'm impressed with myself, actually. That's 30 weeks of, putting out product. Just trying like hell. I got into, at the advice of an individual that I spoke with who was into marketing, I got into TikTok, which I'm fucking shocked that how that's blown up. Like, I have more followers on TikTok, and it hasn't even been a week, than I have on YouTube, and I've been doing this for 30 weeks. I have more subscribed followers on TikTok, and I think that just speaks to our American fucking society. People have short ass attention spans. This long format shit, like a half an hour, to me seems like not enough. If I want to listen to a book on Audible or something, I hope it's 6, 8, 12 hours long. I hope so, because it's going to get me through a couple of good long drives, that kind of thing. And sitting down and listening to a half an hour of me talking, most people just don't want to do that, or at least they're not subscribing. I'm getting viewers, I'm getting people to watch, but man, TikTok, holy shit, and all I'm doing is taking little chunks of these big videos and sticking them on there, and I'll get like 1,000 fucking views on me just talking about, making a comment about Trump. Or, it's crazy. I think, again, that's just a commentary on, I think, mostly our youth and that kind of thing. I want to make sure that this camera's square here. I should have done that before, and that's on the fucking right. So it needs to go this way. No, this way. There. There, we got that going. Anyway, I called out men in the De-Evolution of Man podcast. Basically said, hey, most men aren't really men anymore. It's rare when you kind of feel the traits that that I have accepted, and I was raised to believe that this is what a man should be. So I thought that it'd be appropriate for me to offer a solution. If you're going to complain about a thing, you should have a solution ready. I think that's the appropriate way to handle things. So that's what we'll do. Started digging in on that. Started thinking about, all right, well, I know I can see the things that are happening, and I talked about those in the De-Evolution of Man podcast. But what are the things that have gone away, essentially, that have made it so that our world can function like this? And I kept coming up against the same idea, and that's rites of passage. All right, and if you're not familiar with that term, a rite of passage is just a thing that you go through, and before it you're one thing, and after it you're something else. Like graduating from high school is a rite of passage. Most people go through that, and you're a kid in school before that, and then after that you're out. You're out working or going to college, or presumably you're off on your own. And it is sort of a rite of passage. And you have a party and you do some shit, but I don't know if anyone treats you any differently after that. Like, I'm looking at the kids that I coached these last few years who graduated this year, and I wonder if they get treated any differently by their parents, by the people around them. And long story short, we just don't fucking have them. We don't have any rites of passage anymore, and they were an incredibly important part of a man's development for thousands of years, before modern civilization. And I would say that as a result of that and lots of other things, instead of breeding cowards, we're breeding warriors. Instead of warriors, we're breeding worriers. We're breeding people who are taught to dodge fear and let fear make decisions for them. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, a couple of rites of passage that we still kind of have for men. And some of these are for women too, but turning 16, getting a car, being able to, that's a definite move of independence, and being able to get out and kind of fly the nest a little bit. 18, same thing. You want to go into the military, things like that. Again, you're much more free to make your own decisions. You can go vote. The law looks at you as an adult at 18. Has the law taught you to act any differently? Has the law I don't know, 21, you can drink. That's just, again, just more freedom. After that, I don't think there is much. There are really no built-in societal rites of passage where, now I'm a man. Now I'm a grown-up. I can remember being at my cousin's husband turned 30. And at the time, I'm probably 18, 19, something like that. And I remember everyone talking about, oh, he's a grown man now. At fucking 30? Like, it took you till 30 to be a grown man? What? That to me that struck me as odd. I'm like, fuck, I'm a grown man before that. At least I'm going to act like one. I want to be treated like one. I don't know. Another rite of passage that I thought of that a lot of men go through is the deer camp thing. The first time you get to go to deer camp with your dad, your first kill, a lot of times, I remember I just saw Red Dawn a few weeks ago again. It's a great movie. And, they had him drink the blood of his first deer. That kind of thing. It's, again, rites of passage. I just spent a whole bunch of time explaining what the hell that is. And I know most of you don't know what it is because we don't have them anymore for the most part. We only have kind of pseudo, kind of tongue-in-cheek ones. And that's it. Why is that important? And I'll keep banging on this as we go through here. But there needs to be a time when, after this point, you do not act like a kid anymore. Because we are not going to treat you like one. Not because, but we're not going to treat you one because we want you to act like an adult, so we'll treat you like an adult. If you can't handle that, there will be certain repercussions. I think that agreement needs to be there. It needs to be stated. It needs to be established. And then our men will not act like boys and be, addicted to video games, playing 12, 18 hours a day, just acting like they're at home with their mom. You know what I mean? Like, there needs to be a delineation. There needs to be a sharp cutoff point. Some of the things that used to be that ancient civilizations and not so ancient civilizations did to define, hey, okay, now you are a man. Greeks had this thing called the dokimasia. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Which it was basically an interview. All right, so you'd go and you'd sit in front of, a bunch of elders, grown men, in local people who had watched you grow as a boy and knew your parents, and and it wasn't just a mental thing. I mean, it was a physical thing. There would be some physical testing in there to see if you were, could lift certain amounts and had your shit together enough to be treated like a man. And once you got through that, it'd be decided if you were allowed to be a part of society, if you were just going to be a child like hanging around, or if you were going to be important, if you were going to have a voice. Legal rights, the right to manage your own property. They examine your mental state in full to see if you were capable of, managing any wealth you might acquire through your life. I mean, it was a real thorough process, and you didn't get out of that if you didn't have your shit together. And it was widely accepted. You make it through dokimasia, you're a fucking man now, and we're going to treat you like one, and you're going to act like one. And damn it, if you don't, there will be repercussions. So that's what the Greeks did. Real successful society. We know what brought them down, mostly. I'm sure that you guys remember the movie 300. Big fan of that one. Everybody knows kind of what Spartan life was like. It was mostly very physically demanding. I mean, they would, male children would be abused physically, close to the point of death, actually, which is a little excessive, but that's how their society was. I mean, those were the norms. If you can't make it to our norms, get the fuck out of here, or go somewhere else. And the idea being it'd make you stronger. I mean, we are going to teach you how much you can handle. So you'll know moving forward, I handled that, so I can handle this, whatever this might be. Send them into the wild for long periods of time, to survive on your own, and like fend off animals and try to find food. And, there was this thing called Cryptea, which is like this festival. It was annual. It was an annual festival, and young Spartans you were forced to kill random slaves to prove your ability to kill fuckers, like to be a warrior. Again, fairly excessive, but the idea is, again, we are teaching you, young man, how much you are capable of, okay? And in that specific instance, the killing the slaves thing, that's the gift of violence, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So those were the Spartans. Greeks had a thing. Spartans had a thing. Native Americans, too. They had. You guys have heard the term vision quest, I'm sure. It was fairly common. Peyote, saunas. They call it the longhouse. Like basically steaming. They'd send you out in the wilderness for 3 days, I guess, being secluded, find your own food. They would have you fast, not eat, and see if you would see different spirits. Same thing would happen when you were in the longhouse doing a steam or I forget, what do you fucking call it when Native Americans do it, get in their sauna? There's a name for it. Just to see whatever it is. The idea being, you young man need to figure out your own mind. You need to learn some things about you, and we're going to help you. We're going to put you in a position to do that. Create some fucking toughness. Other ancient Indian civilizations, they had a little bit more hardcore shit. They'd make them take drugs to see that would lead to massive memory loss. Like, it would really fuck you up, I guess, like really bad. And the idea being that you would forget your childish ways. You would forget the selfishness that's kind of inborn in you as a child, and you would then learn just from men around you after that, learn how to be an adult. Tribal Kenyans, in fact, they've practiced rites of passage for eons. I don't know if you guys remember, Manute Bol was like the tallest guy ever in the NBA. Played for the Warriors back in the day, appropriately. I think it was the Warriors. Yeah, anyway, he was a Kenyan, and he, as a kid, had to go kill a fucking lion, like with his bare hands. I don't know, maybe that was a rumor or whatever, but pretty standard shit. Kenyans, they've practiced that forever. When a kid was 14, now think about this. At 14, he gets circumcised and then sent into the wilderness to, survive the best he can for weeks on end, right? So maybe that's when Manute got his lion. The idea being that's going to transform you into an animal, and then they would mark you with some things. And anyway, after this, you will no longer act like a child, right? Like, this is a line, and once you cross it, there is no going back. All right, and you would think as a kid, I mean, come on, man. When I was 15, I couldn't wait to be 16 and have a driver's license. When I was 17, I couldn't wait to be 18 and be able to go places I couldn't go. When I was 20, I couldn't wait to be 21 so I could go have a beer. Like, every rite of passage that we have in our society, kids can't wait. They're excited as shit. So this would be no different. I mean, all you'd ever want to be as a kid, all you want to be is grown up. It's all you ever want. And and it's kind of sad that lots of adults, all they want to do is be kids again. So that's how they act. And I don't know. And again, I think it comes back to, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again, that if you don't treat them like adults, they won't fucking act like them. If you don't treat them like men, you're never going to be a man if you don't, if you can't act like one. I can remember being in college and coming back for the summer or at Christmas time and going to work, like, going to painting in these big commercial buildings and being around all these rough-edged blue-collar guys. It's a different world, and they are going to teach you their rules. And surviving in that area, even not to mention fitting in and getting along with these guys, not the easiest thing to do. I'll tell you, it's just two very different sets of normals. What you're going to experience in college and what you're going to experience at work. I mean, you're going to come out of those experiences two different men. Anyway, so what do we do? Like I said, I'm complaining we don't have any rites of passage. I'm telling you about how it used to be done in various cultures around the world. So what do? Well, I keep talking about this too. The most important thing is that once you reach a certain point, or shit, I don't know, if you're a parent, maybe you sort of start to transition them into your boys into manhood. You start, all right, so we're going to give our son unlimited, we're going to take away his curfew. Or even before that, we're going to give him unlimited range on his bicycle. We're going to let him go out there and fuck up. Well, we're going to let him go out there and maybe he'll fuck up, which in the end could be good, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the most important thing, like I said, treat them like adults. When I was a high school teacher and when I was coaching, I got that comment from kids lots of times, mostly once they left. I'd get a message on Facebook, or I'd run into somebody. You know, you always treated us like men. You always looked us in the eye and shook our hands, asked our opinion about things. You treated us like adults. And fuck, they always acted like adults. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember consciously thinking that, but it just was easier. And now when I run into them, I don't have to act any differently. I can just be me, and just like I always was, and they can be them. And anyway, so that's the most important thing. Treat them like men, and then they will behave like men. And I got some other pieces to it. So the most important, I'm not going to say it's most important. So the first thing I want to talk about is to role model manhood. So you got an 8-year-old kid, you got a 5-year-old kid. He's watching you, Dad. He's watching how you act. You know what I mean? He's watching everything you do. If you are any good as a dad, you're his hero. So you have to be very conscious of how you act. And part of that is to role model manhood every day. All right? Stuff like priorities, right? When you get home from work, you kiss your wife, you go pick up your kid, you give him a hug, you let him know that you guys are the most important things to me. Now, as a kid, all he's going to feel is, oh, I'm the most important thing to my dad. But as he gets older, he's going to be like, you know what the most important thing to my dad was? It was his family. And then they'll go that route. You see what I mean? Like, that's how role modeling works. And they don't always, most of the time, they don't understand it when you're doing it. But when they get older and they start to look for routes through this path of life, that's what will come natural to them. Leadership is a big one. It's really complex. It's a complex topic, but know this. Be strong in your decision making. Hey, this is what we're going to do. You know, I mean, and the opposite can be true too. If it doesn't work, hey, that was on me. Leadership is being responsible, you know. Unselfishness. You know, your kid should see you providing for your family, helping others whenever you can, going over and helping out the neighbors. These are things that your kid should grow up seeing, because then when they're adults, that's what they'll do. That will be the natural, you know, transition for them. Discipline's a huge one, and I don't mean like cracking them with a fucking whip when they fuck up, although you should do that. We'll talk about that in a second, figuratively or literally, up to you. I mean stuff like getting up early. You know, you get up and you know that your son knows that you were out of the house, or your sons know that you were out of the house before they even got out of bed, and you do that every day. That's discipline. That discipline, in my mind, if I boil that down, if I salt that down, it's doing shit you don't want to do that you have to do. That's what discipline is. Or doing shit you don't want to do that you know is going to help you in some way. Right? Can you role model that? Of course you can. Completing tasks, and, you know, not leaving projects unfinished. You know, I got a buddy, his dad always had 6 or 7 projects going, and none of them ever got done. I don't know how in the fuck you could handle that. Like, I mean, like, the only time I have a project that's not done in my garage is because I'm waiting on parts. You know what I mean? Like, I just, you know, fucking get shit done. I think that's mentally healthy. You know, finish a thing, move on to the next. Working out is a great way to that you can role model discipline. I don't care who you are. I mean, if you're just going for a casual bike ride or a stroll, yeah, that's enjoyable, but it's not working out, okay? Working out is running hard, lifting hard, playing basketball, you know, I don't know, swimming, shit like that it's challenging. You are pushing yourself, and you are exhausted when you're done. It's not comfortable and it isn't fun. It's great to have, but you feel awesome when it's over with. You know that you're also showing delayed gratification here, right? Like, I know I'm willing to suffer today so that I'm better tomorrow. And then consistency. I think this is the biggest part of how to role model manhood. Just do the same shit every day. Always, not, I mean, I don't mean to the point of boredom. I mean, let them know that it's the daily grind that's going to get you successful in life. It's the daily grind that's going to pay for this house that we live in, put the food on that table, put gas in that car, pay for your BMX bike, you know, shit like that. Now, what does all this stuff about role modeling manhood have to do with rites of passage? Well, there is no magic wand that now you're a man. You know, in order for them to know, once they get to that rite of passage and people start treating them like a man, the only way they're going to know how to act like a man is if they've fucking seen it their whole lives, basically. You know, get them around other men who are really fucking good at adulting. Other men who are manly and have their shit together. Those are the people your son should be around. Those are the people that boys should be around. I mean, don't expose them to the soft-ass, wussy-ass beta male. Don't even let them know it's an option. You know what I mean? Or, you know, after a certain age, they're 12, 13, 14, let them experience something like that and then have a conversation. Be like, hey, what did you think about that? Do you think it's a thing you want to do? What are your thoughts? You know, that's part of that mental preparedness. You know, in order for a rite of passage to work, you've got to have given them the tools. And that's where this role modeling manhood comes in. Here's another one, setting goals. All right. And this is a conscious conversation that you have with your son. Well, how does goal setting work? I mean, and you should be, of course, role modeling it yourself. Like, I'm going to run the Crim, which is a 10-mile road race in Flint in 3 weeks or whenever the hell that is. I think it's 3 weeks. And so I'm working out every day. You know, working out, running a lot more. I did a 4-mile run today. I did an 8-mile run on fucking Monday, right? No, Sunday. 8-mile run on Sunday, 4 miles today. Did a couple other runs in there. I got to go. I set a goal. I want to do this 10. I do it every year. So there's a physical goal. You should talk about money. Now, not to the detriment of everything else, but, you know, accumulating wealth is going to do nothing but it's going to help them. Now, it isn't a mark of, like, it's not that you're not a man if you don't have a lot of money. It's not, but it is a male role to provide. So you should have some skills. You should have some tools, some ways to acquire wealth somehow. You should talk about that. You know, you should help your son set financial goals. Hey, you want to get a car when you're 16? You better start saving early. I'm going to help you find a job so that you can go out and make money and hustle. And then you can buy your own car and experience what that's like to struggle for a long time saving money and then have it pay off and have a car. You know? On the financial part, and I don't want to go too deeply into this. I just going to gloss over it. But money is a far more appropriate and tangible goal than, like, chasing women. It'd be girls, I guess, when they're young. That's where you spend your money. That's not where you make any. Let them know that that's the difference. Let them know that making money, pretty important. Collecting security for yourself is really what you're doing. Because once you have the security for yourself, then maybe you can provide it for a family if you'd like to have that son like I have. Like that. You know what I mean? 80% of American millionaires are self-made. Let me say that one more time. 80% of millionaires here in the USA, they are self-made. 4 out of 5. Only one of those out of 5 inherited their money. You didn't realize that, did you? I bet all you rich people haters thought that they just giving their money and they never. No, man, they fucking work. You want to make money, you got to work for it. Usually, the people who inherit their money, they piss it all away, and then their kids inherit nothing. That's usually how it goes. They'll piss it away because it doesn't mean anything to them. They've always had it, and they didn't work for it, so it's really no skin off their backs. That's how it works. You work hard for your money, you will make sure it stays in place. And it will actually fucking mean something to you. I got a buddy, always had the nicest toys when he was a kid. Always had the latest cutting edge stuff all the time. Parents had money. I get the feeling they were out of the house a lot, so they just showered him with shit. And now as an adult, poor guy, like, he can't enjoy anything. He's always got to have brand new this, brand new that, brand new this, brand new that. And he never is like, yeah, this is awesome. I love this thing. This is so cool. I don't ever want to not have it anymore. He's always turning over all of his toys. You know what I mean? Nothing ever makes him happy. And that should be the goal, to be happy, right? Whatever it takes to get to there. So that's the goal setting thing. Yeah, most of those millionaires, they dealt with really difficult shit when they were kids. They came from really harsh environments. That's, people love that story. People who came up from the toughest, worst situations. Like, I think about David Goggins. Read his book, Can't Hurt Me. I recommend it. You should go check it out. But you're going to find out that guy had a fucking terrible childhood, and it created some horrible fucking demons in him. And that's why he achieves at the level that he does. That's why he runs like 100-mile races. He's got demons to beat down. And I don't envy that at all. I mean, good for him that he is doing it in such a positive way. He's achieving at such a high level, wrote a book, did all these things. He's, again, run a bunch of races. He said had the world pull-up record for a while. I don't know if he still does. But those demons can give you some unbelievable fire, and that's why a lot of these millionaires, they come from the bottom. When you come up comfortable, you're comfortable. And so you don't strive. Make sense? Not that it's wrong to have a comfortable childhood. You should have that, but you got to put some hurdles in their way, right? Here's a big one. You got to practice failure, okay? You should be failing from an early age, because it isn't the failure that matters. It's how you fucking deal with it. I had this kid one time in my class. I don't know. She's 15, 16. Never turned her shit in on time. And finally, she failed the class because she never turned her shit in. Like, she'd turn it in a week later and it'd be half-assed. And there was this last thing. I'm like, this is your last chance. And she didn't make it. And I remember, a couple days later, I'm in the counselor's office. And the counselor told me, you really need to pass her. I'm like, I am fucking her if I do that. I am teaching her that it's okay to be lazy as shit, and the world will, and people will take care of it for you. That's what I'm teaching this kid. And I won't do it. I won't do it because I'm teaching her something that I don't fucking believe in. It's going to make her worse. Her failing now is the best fucking thing that could possibly happen. And that counselor said to me, well, she's not going to learn that. She's just going to learn that you're an asshole. I'm like, bitch. And I thought to myself, no, that's just what you think, Anyway, that's just like your opinion, man. My point is this. How do you deal with failure? I love it when I fuck something up because I know that some cool ass shit's going to come out of it because I will work hard to find the silver lining. Football left my life, so I'm like, fuck it. I'll spend the summer up north painting, making stupid money. And I just bought a brand new fucking motor. Well, not brand new, but new to me. It's only a couple years old. I just dropped $22,000 cash. Boom. Said I want that motorcycle. I want that one right there. $22,000. Here it is in $100 bills. Because I busted ass. And I'm not even halfway through the summer. You know what I mean? So failure, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to react to it? I got in the habit a long time ago because I fuck up so often of turning it into something positive. Find something great. Do something cool. You know what I mean? You are not your failure. You're not. Who you are is how you react to it. That's how you know where you are at that point in your life. How did you handle that failure? Did you crumble? Did you cry? Did you expect other people to fix it for you? Or did you bust ass and make it happen after that? Right? Yeah, failure, dealing with adversity is a habit. Give them that. I mean, you can't do it all the time. There's got to be a balance, right? So Jordan Peterson talks about how you got to have one foot firmly planted in comfort, in places where your life is predictable and you got to groove down and you understand it. And then you should also have one foot planted in what he calls chaos, where I don't know what's going on. I'm not quite sure. This is tough, because that's where you grow. That's where you get better. So you got to do that with boys too. They got to experience all that shit. So yeah, practice failure. I think as a society, mostly you guys are all helicopter parents. You're just like trying to, to prepare the road for the kid instead of preparing the boy for the road. You know what I mean? You can't fix the fucking ocean. All you can do is make sure your boat's real strong. You know what I'm saying? Also a Jordan Peterson thing. Physical hardship. Give them this as often as you can. And again, without overwhelming. Physically challenging work. When I was a kid, we fucking did hay. Throwing hay bales up into the wagon and then throwing them out of the belt and then stacking them in the fucking hay mow. It'd be 90 degrees outside. It'd be 120 up in the hay mow. Very difficult. Your arms are all fucking hacked up from the hay, or you can wear long sleeves and sweat your dick off the whole time. It's physically hard. It's hot. It's uncomfortable. You don't make much money. But if you can do that, you can do anything. You see how that works? The more discomfort that you prevail over, the better you'll be. Athletics are also a great way to teach this, to give some physical hardship. Especially sports like football and wrestling, even cross country. I mean, to run that far, that's mental. I mean, you're gonna go 3+ miles over the river and through the woods. It's fucking hard. There's a million times where your mind's gonna be like, I just don't want to fucking do this. That's where I struggle with the distance running. Like, my body's fine, my lungs are good. My mind's like, what are you doing, motherfucker? You're 44 years old. You're 225 pounds. You're not a distance runner. What are you doing out here? I'm probably 220 right now, but so give them that opportunity to learn that mental toughness. Physical hardship ultimately is the best way to learn mental toughness. I talk about that all the time, or at least it's the most tangible, the most accessible way to, at least early on in life. Vince Lombardi, great quote, and read it. I firmly believe that any man's finest hour, the greatest fulfillment of all that he holds dear, is that moment when he has worked his heart out in a good cause and lies exhausted on the field of battle, victorious. It's fucking true. I mean, you define the field of battle as you will. It might be an employment situation. It might be getting your wife back. It might be anything. But you need to learn that from a young age, how good it feels to succeed in a difficult task. And so then you won't be afraid of difficult tasks. You know what I mean? That's the idea. You got to beat fear. And finally, I used to talk about this with my football kids, but boys need to understand that they have a gift of violence within them. Yes, and it isn't that, it's not the idea that we should all be incredibly violent as we can be whenever we can be violent. It's more that you should know that you have this in you. You should know that what it's like when you feel it. You should know where it's appropriate to use it and where it's not. You should know how to call on it if you need it. You should know how to repress it if you don't need it. And you should also know, and this is the most important thing, you having this gift of violence, it doesn't make you a bad person. It is not abnormal. It is not unusual. You've got to have a way to bleed it off. You need to know that, all of us, we're all descended from winners. 200 years ago and before that, people had physical, violent conflicts regularly. And losing one of those could mean you died, or you didn't eat, or you didn't reproduce. So the losers didn't fucking make it, all right? Only the winner. That's who you came from. You came from the winners, all right? But you need to know what it is and have ways to get it out of you. If you have a boy, get him into some sort of martial sport, a physical sport. Again, football, wrestling, martial arts, some way, boxing, some place where he can learn some physical violence, learn when to use it, when it's good, how to control it, and then to be able to take off your gear and leave it there. Okay? That becomes a lifetime habit. I still hit the heavy bag. I still do violent things to make sure I bleed that off of me so it won't pop out the next time I have road rage. You gotta get it out. That's a difference between men and women, a hard difference. Men have this gift of violence, women do not. Women have the gift of nurturing. Men usually don't have that. So that's a thing. And so these are all ways that we can prepare boys to be men. But as far as that rite of passage, where we bestow upon them, from now on you are a man, it's up to you to decide that. I think, society doing it, it's too big. it needs to be something smaller than that. It needs to be a family thing. You need to decide among you and your brothers, which would be your son's uncles. Hey, we got to put a time in place. We got to create a thing where this boy now knows that he has different expectations on him, and he is now a man. Whatever that is, you have to decide what that is, and you've got to tell him what it is. And then do all the shit leading up to it and handle it right. And then after that, it should take care of itself. It should be on a conveyor belt after that. He should be fine. You don't have to worry about him. You taught him the right shit, and he's going to be a successful man doing things right. So that's it. Rites of passage. What has happened in the past. How we need to prepare to actually make boys be men. As far as what those rites of passage might be, I would love to hear what you guys think. I'm going to put pieces from this on TikTok tonight. Obviously, I'm recording this before Monday at 4 a.m., but this will drop on YouTube Monday, 4 a.m. I'm Travis Neville. This is the Travis Neville Podcast. I wrote this book over here called The Jossman Method. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Audible. You can get it on my publisher's website, which is Atlantic. It's Atlantic. It's in Florida. And I hope today's episode in some way helped you to get your shit together. Have a great week.